We're back with Swiss round 4, and this time we're seeing Shiu Chung versus Tang Adrian. So, Adrian leading. So, Shiu Chung is leading with Miraidon Shenpao, and Adrian is leading with Grimstar Iron Hands. Adrian is a player well known for playing screens in Hong Kong. It's no surprise that he's wearing his comfort pick, Grimstar. So Iron Hands could go for a fake out here, and I'm pretty sure Tempal does not want to stay in front of the Iron Hands. And this Gruffstar could very easily set up screens right in front of Miraidon and Tempal, as most Gruffstar are teched to survive an Electro Drift. So fake out goes to Miraidon, and Adrian's Gruffstar actually does set the reflect. Miraidon flinches, and the Echo Crash does go into Grimstar, but yeah, it's pretty, I think Adrian got a better turn out of turn 1. So Adrian sets up the light screen, and Miraidon goes already Volt Switch in front of Grimmsnarl. So Grimmsnarl does, set up the light screen, but Rillaboom comes in, and there's a good chance that, Rillaboom sets up the grassy terrain, which disables Iron Hands' Quark Drive. And Icicle Crash goes to the Iron Hands, does a good chunk of damage. Iron Hands goes for the Wild Charge. Predicting a switch into another Pokemon. But Rillaboom came in. Instead. Now, I believe Zooton to have the better turn here, because Zooton could fake out and remove the Grimmsnarl, but Adrian opts to go for, but instead of going for the fake, Adrian Zooton does not go for the fake outs, and Adrian is able to get away with clicking Parting Shot into the Rillaboom, and Adrian bring out Ho-Oh, Miraidon Ho-Oh, a restricted duel that has not been seen since the first regulation set. Hi! Rillaboom going for the U-turn. U-turn going back to Zooton. As Zooton brings in Zamazenta, which does not have a very good matchup against Ho-Oh. So the thing, and Adrian goes for the Drain Punch into the Zamazenta, dealing decent amounts of chip damage. So the thing about Ho-Oh is that Ho-Oh is one of the few Pokemon that does well into Zamazenta and Miraid, as well into Zamazenta and counter Shadow Rider, which is why Adrian decided to bring this quote-unquote outdated team to Hong Kong Master Ball League, actually. Some insight for y'all. So, Ho-Oh is in prime position right now, and it looks like Iron Hands might get targeted down by both these Pokemon, since they cannot really do much to Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh also has this signature move called Sacred Fire, which has a 50% chance to burn if it connects, which is very strong, especially against physical attackers. So both go into Iron Hands, but Ho-Oh goes for the Tailwind, which means their momentum is in Adrian's favor. And Adrian goes for the Drain Punch into the Zamazenta, which heals Iron Hands back to high yellow HP. Ho-Oh gets the HP recovery from the leftovers. Iron Hands is now back to green HP because of the grassy terrain that Ziuchong set up for Adrian. for Adrian. And now Xiu is in a really, really bad spot. Because nothing's stopping Adrian from going Sacred Fire, potentially burn Tianpao, and just Drain Punch the Zamazenta slot. We see Xiu going for the double protect, trying to start a turn of Tailwind, as Ho-Oh's Sacred Fire goes into the Tianpao's protects. And Iron Hands goes for the Drain Punch into Zamazenta, which, well, is what I just said for my commentary. And we see more HP being restored from Ho-Oh. Another thing about Ho-Oh is that Ho not only has a monstrous Possessed stat of 154, it also has Regenerator, so it has really, really good longevity, especially with Screens and Parting Shot Grimstar. Especially with Parting Shot Grimstar. So, Xiu looks like Xiu is in a really bad spot right now. As Xiu withdraws the Tianpao and brings in the Rillaboom, which is very, very interesting because Xiu knows that the Sacred Fire is going into Rillaboom, who potentially sacking just to get some more momentum from to get Miraidon in safely. And Iron Hands is actually faster than the Zamazenta. It has quite a bit of speed investment and goes for a low kick to KO the Zamazenta. Zamazenta. And now Adrian's in her driver's seat as Miraidon and Tianpao don't really like facing down Ho-Oh and Iron. So Adrian could do right now. Adrian's in the driver's seat because Adrian could just protect the Ho-Oh and go for the low kick into Miraidon because Iron Hands is so bulky, and if Miraidon locks into Draco Meteor, it cannot possibly break through Ho-Oh. Xiu needs a lot for him to needs a lot to go right for him in order to win the set. Essentially. And it's not helping that Tianpao's sort of rune is lowering Miraidon's defense stat, which means that Iron Hands can take it down much more easily. Adrian opts to switch out Ho-Oh to get some more, and Adrian sends out Miraidon, predicting the Electro Drifts. As Xiu goes for the Terrestrialization into the Electric type, which is a good indicator for Adrian that, yes, Xiu is going for the Electro Drift. But we do see the Electro Drift is going into Iron Hands. And is that a critical hit? It crits through screens, and Icicle Crash KOs the Iron Hands. Iron Hands has one step for Xiu to get back into the game. I believe Adrian's Miraidon is lower, as it is not Choice Scarf. It's not Choice Scarf. And Adrian is now thinking about his next move as he sends out Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh. And Xiu actually opts to double on the Miraidon slot. Double the Miraidon slot with both Electro Drift and Icicle Crash. Predicting the Ho-Oh to protect, and predicting the Ho-Oh to protect, but this Ho-Oh is Terra is Ho-Oh could terrestrialize to get out of its electric weakness. And we see Adrian's face cam. Well, we see Terragrass Ho-Oh being. You see Adrian opting for the Terragrass Ho-Oh. And Electro Drift goes into Adrian's Miraidon. It does not do a lot because it's 4 times not very effective. And Ice Crash does go into the Miraidon slot, but Adrian's Miraidon is so bulky that it takes it, but it flinches. However, Adrian managed to set up the Tailwind, which brings the momentum back to his favor. It looks like Adrian's back into her driver's seat, but that flinch was very unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate for Adrian. Adrian could have just ended the game right there, but just guaranteed the game right there, but no. Adrian actually switches out Miraidon for Grimmsnarl, and the thing about Grimmsnarl is that it has priority parting shot, which is good into the Miraidon for a potential endgame, but Zuchong actually decides to Electro Drift into the Ho-Oh, and the Sacred Fire goes into the Tempal and burns! So now this Tempal is doing no damage to this Ho-Oh. Well, not no damage, but like, yeah. Very little damage to this Ho-Oh. It's way less damage than Zuchong wanted because of the 50% chance to burn on Sacred Fire. And now Zuchong doesn't have a way to get back into this game. Adrian still has a decently healthy Miraidon in the back, and he could parting shot back into it. Or set up a light screen as Ho-Oh goes for protects, and Adrian opting to play more passively to fully secure the endgame, and goes for the parting shot into the Miraidon to bring Miraidon back onto the field. This is -1 Miraidon. Despite being Terra Electric, it will not do a lot of damage. And Adrian is also stalling out the electric terrain turns. So Miraidon will be doing less and less damage as time goes on. Not to mention that Ho has Regenerator, which which means that he could switch back into the Grimmsnarl to recover more HP from Ho-Oh, and Miraidon goes for the Draco Meteor and KOs Zuchong's Terra Electric Miraidon. And Adrian claims game 1 of the sets. And we're back with game 2 of Zuchong versus Hongji Team Adrian. So, Zuchong opting to switch his lead, this time leading Tempao Dragonites, and Adrian sticking with Iron Hands and Grimmsnarl. So there's a non-zero chance that Terra Normal Extreme Speed can KO Grimmsnarl, because Grimmsnarl actually doesn't have that great of bulk, but its pranks, but with enough investments, it's able to withstand some very strong attacks. However, Grimmsnarl's base defense isn't that great. Right, so there is a chance that Choice Band Terra Normal sort of rune boosted Extreme Speed can KO this Scrimstar before it could even move. Iron Hands goes for Fake Out onto the Tempal, and Dragonite goes for the Extreme Speed into the Iron Hands instead of the Grimstar. And Grimstar goes for the Reflects, which is very... I'm surprised that Zuchong didn't go for the Grimstar, because unless Grimstar is Terra Ghost, I believe that Zuchong is going for the read on Terra Ghost Grimstar. But the thing is that, like, Adrian has greens now, and the Dragonite is vulnerable. It's vulnerable to Drain Punch now, but Dragonite gets the high roll and manages to KO the Iron Hands, despite it being behind Reflect. As Adrian sends out Ho-Oh, which has a really, really good bulk. And Ho-Oh does take a little bit from the Icicle Crash, but now Ho-Oh is threatening a Sacred Fire, which could burn both of Zuchong's Pokemon. We see Adrian thinking about his next move. Choice Band Terranormal Dragonite has been well, has been really dominant ever since the introduction of Tempal. Tempal Dragonite is a very, very powerful attacking tool. Well, so it's no surprise that Tempal Dragonite is doing well in Regulation Set High as well. And Adrian decides to send out Miraidon. And Miraidon sets up the Electric Terrain with its Drawn Engine ability. And now we see Zuchong opting to just ISO Crash the Miraidon and switch out Dragonites for Rillaboom in order to shut down Miraidon's electric terrain, so its attacks become much weaker. But the problem with this is that his board state becomes much weaker to Ho-Oh. Oh, now Adrian could go for a couple reads and get back into this game. Okay. So Zuchong sends out the Rillaboom. Rillaboom's grassy terrain overrides the electric terrain that was set up by Miraidon previously. And Adrian goes to Terrazization on his Miraidon in order to take the Iso Crash much more comfortably into the Fairy Terra. This is a choice specs Miraidon, so Terra Fairy is a very strong offensive and defensive Terra type for it, as it can go for Dazzling Gleam. Miraidon does go for the Dazzling Gleam, and KOs your Tempal. As Sash was broken by the Iron Hands on turn 1, and Ho-Oh goes for the Tailwind, which means that the momentum's back in Adrian's favor. However, I need to address the elephant in the room, and that is Dragonites. Dragonites is a So right now, Dragonites can come in, and Rillaboom can just fake out the Miraidon, and Dragonite could go for a powerful attack, like, I don't know, Extreme Speed or something, and Adrian has to hope for Burn or something on the Hope. Oh, so we see Zuchong actually going for fake outs onto the Ho-Oh. I would much rather if Zuchong went for the fake outs onto the Miraidon for some extra chip damage, but Adrian does switch the Miraidon to regain terrain control. And the fake out does go into Ho-Oh. The Ho-Oh. The Dragonite goes for extreme speed, does under half because of screens and without Temp House sort of root ability. And now Chung is in a really, really awkward spot because it's in a really, really awkward spot. So it really, really depends what Chung wants to achieve this turn. If Chung wants to stop the tailwinds, then yeah, it's going to be really, really rough because none of the Pokemon that Chung brought has protects. So we see Dragonites go for the extreme speed onto the Grimmsnarl, and Grimmsnarl survives on red HP. And Grimmsnarl goes for the parting shot onto the Dragonites. As Grimmsnarl retreats into Adrian's bench, and Adrian sends out Miraidon to regain terrain control. Terrain control. However, don't count Okay, never mind. The Sacred Fire hit. I was going to mention that Sacred Fire has a 5% chance to miss, but, well, it connected. And as you can see, Miraidon comes out on Zuchong's side, and Tailwind is still active on Adrian's side, so... So Adrian could very easily go for Dazzling Gleam, knock out Zuchong's Miraidon, and chip the Dragonites, and Sacred Fire goes into the Dragonites, and it could burn and potentially just end the game right there. Right there. Because both of Zuchong's Pokemon are single-target attackers, they cannot win a potential 1v3. And Ho protects, as Dragonite goes for the extreme speed onto the Miraidon. However, only does around 20%, which is how bulky this Miraidon is. And Adrian goes for the Dazzling Gleam, chunks Dragonites for half, and KOs the Miraidon. And it's over, as Zuchong's Dragonite cannot pull off a 1v3 against Terra Fairy Miraidon, Ho-Oh, and Grimmsnarl. And it's running out of Extreme Speed PP, so it might struggle to death if if Zuchong gets an Omega Crit onto the Miraidon. It does not, and Miraidon goes for a Dazzling Gleam, and due to the single target damage, it's going to knock out the Dragonites, and Tang Adrian is going to win this set 2-0, moving on to a 4-0 record.